Evening, ladies and gents, how are you doing? We're going to start today's video with a fun fact. Today is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's birthday. Google put that on my homepage for me because obviously they're a despicable cis-het patriarchy and they want us to celebrate the worthless achievements, the awful music of this talentless simpleton. Instead of me playing you some of his terrible, overrated, talentless music, let's listen to this wonderful shrieking from irregular Allens. You know what I'm talking about.
Ah, you mean this? Oh, God, yes, I love that.
Music to my ears, that. Right then, to the news. As you might have expected, the big story of the day, obviously all over the BBC, splashing it everywhere you can see it. It's not like those other stories, you know, the hundreds of gangs of swarthy foreign diddlers that did it with impunity for 25 years while the politicians and the police did nothing about it. You know, those stories hidden away some dark corner of, you know, Sunderland's local news page that no one will ever read. This story they've emblazoned right across the homepage for all the world to see. So they think they're going to make a cunning point here, a smooth move to convince everyone, look, sometimes you get gangs of diddlers that are from Glasgow. But it's not a smooth move, is it? Because we all know that. Nobody's ever claimed that people who look like me never ever do anything illegal. Have they? Only a moron would say that. In fact, judging by the plethora of humorous anecdotes I make about well-known serial killers, diddlers, and other career welfare recipient miscreants like Mick Philpott, he's one of my personal favourites, or Joseph Fritzl, or Fred West, or anybody else. Shippers, you remember Shippers, the fella that you'd rather have looking after your granny than Keir Starmer. Yeah, him. He looks a bit like me as well, doesn't he? Nobody's ever claimed that no crimes are committed by the native inhabitants of Western Europe. What people have claimed is that people from outside of those green leafy shires are massively, massively overrepresented in the crime statistics. And furthermore, the politicians and the police assist them in their nefarious crimes and hand them softball sentences when they do catch them. That's the point we've made. So what I'll do is I'll quickly read you the BBC story of the day. They're probably going to they'll milk this one for 3 weeks. I'll quickly read you the story and then we'll compare their sentences with some other like-minded ones perpetuated by gentlemen 4 or 5 shades differently looking to this selection of toothless, one-eyed mutants. Okay, the Glasgow abuse gang has been given life sentences. Life sentences? That's weird. There they are anyway, 7 of them. 7 members of Scotland's biggest abuse ring have been given lifelong sentences and warned they may never be released. Well, there's a plan I can get behind finally. 3 victims under the age of 13 were subject to horrific abuse and violence in a Glasgow drug den dubbed the Beastie House. Children suffered unimaginable abuse. Ian, Elaine, Leslie, Paul, Scott, Barry and John were all jailed and handed orders for lifelong restrictions. These orders are reserved for the most serious court cases in Scotland, which do not involve murder, and mean the individuals will either be in prison or on parole for the rest of their life. Judge Lord Beckett told the gang, whose jail sentences totalled more than 93 years, that they may never be released from prison. So, good news, we can all agree on that, because unlike the loony left, we are logically consistent and coherent in our arguments, and we think the sentencing should be much, much, much harsher. The average person of the centre and the right, and indeed the average, lifelong Labour voter from Sunderland or something, is not socially liberal when it comes to crime and criminality. Funny old thing, you don't get coal miners from Newcastle going, well, he's only a pedo, might as well just send him down for 2 weeks. Doesn't happen, right? We're the ones who are tough on crime. So we like to see a sentence like this. However, let's just, juxtapose this alongside some other genuinely horrific crimes and see what sentences were handed down for those, shall we? This story from the 22nd of June 2022. Rochdale gang wrong to deport the members, a tribunal was told. A ringleader of a diddling gang has avoided being deported, so it would therefore be wrong to deport the other gang members. Abdul Aziz and Adil Khan and Quarry Ralph and all that. No, actually, sorry, scrub that. they don't like you mentioning names like that. We'll just call them John, Colin and Barry, shall we? John, Colin and Barry were among 9 gang members jailed in 2012. Oh, so they're already out then. Oh, they're already out. Weird. Barry, known as the Master, has been told he will not be deported by the Home Office because that would be against his human rights. Since being released from jail, the men have fought a long legal battle against deportation. Okay, since being released from jail. Weird that, innit? Aziz was jailed for 9 years in 2012 for the vicious and brutal abuse of a 15-year-old girl. He used to ply her with drugs and pass around all of his men. Khan also got a 13-year-old girl pregnant. Weird that, innit? But they're all out. They're all out now. They probably did, 5 or 6 years did they serve? And now they're out free as a bird, living off the taxpayer, just as you would expect. And we can't deport them because that'd be against the human rights. But strangely, we've just been discussing some fellas from Las Vegas, and none of them will ever get released from prison ever. But these guys, roaming the streets and probably doing a little bit of serial diddling on their own time outside Aldi in Rochdale or Rotherham or Oldham or Middlesbrough or wherever else they've gone to do it now. Very odd, isn't it? Surely it's only an isolated incident though, right? Oh no, look, because that one I just covered, that was in Rochdale, that this one's in Oldham. Yeah, it's not an isolated incident, is it? Because 2 other members of another grooming gang were quietly freed from jail after serving half of their 10-year terms for all their offences. Bob and Terry, they both had their 10-year terms cut in half, and they abused and trafficked up to 1,400 girls. Quite a few more than those amateurs in Glasgow, but both of these blokes were quietly released after serving about 5 years in prison. So, has it sank in yet? The BBC are going to push this like a win. They're going to push it every day. So everybody thinks, this is good. Our government and our police aren't corrupt and allowing foreign diddlers to jump your kids' bones while they do nothing about it. They're going to push that story. But you know the actual story, because I've just covered it for you. And that is that thousands and thousands of professional industrial scale diddlers of legend, that's what we should call them, legendary diddlers, 1,400 kids. They're just getting quietly released from prison after 4 or 5 years. But these fellas will never, ever be released. So do you think this is a win? Or do you think this is them laughing in your face? Because they know that every time we say two-tier Kia, and they laugh and go, it's just a conspiracy theory, don't you know? They know that we know they're lying. So no, this doesn't cheer me up. I'd happily see every single person that ever gets convicted of said crime doing a whole life term and never ever seeing the light of day again. But funny old thing, it only seems to happen if you're called Colin or Barry and you're from Las Vegas. The Scots have always had a chip on both shoulders, haven't they? Saying they get poorly treated by Westminster. Well, here's some more evidence of it, because the poor old jocks get 150 years behind bars for committing awful crimes, whereas diddlers from Rotherham, they only do 4 or 5. There we go. That's me for the day. If you disagree and you think that there definitely isn't a 2-tier justice system and these blokes are going to be quietly released in 3 or 4 years, please let me know in the comments so I can point at you and laugh. You will be Exhibit A on my wall of simpletons. So leave a comment for everyone to laugh at, and I'll see you all tomorrow. All right? Toodle pip. Cheers.